Hey there guys, how are you? Welcome back to another awesome video. It's time for another top 10 video. For today's top 10 video, with the road to season 6, in honor of season 6 happening, let's talk about the top 10 mass singers of season 5. So this list, we're going to be talking about my personal favorites of season 5. Are there some that maybe I missed? Let me know in the comment section down below if there's any that I missed or maybe you preferred over this, over there, because we all have our own opinions and we're allowed to have our own opinions. So if you agree with this list, fine by me. If you disagree, respectfully, fine by me. These are the 10 I liked. And just in case, here's a spoiler if you haven't seen the season or don't know any of these characters' faces yet. And I'm finally making my way to doing season 5. I know it's long past months ago, but now I'm coming back to it and let's talk about him. So let's kick things off at number 10. And at number 10 on my list is the Raccoon. So I gotta be honest, I know this guy was not the best singer, but the character and that costume was just, looks like a lot of fun. I mean, you got a Western raccoon, like that costume design looks very, like, just fun, outlandishly wild, and the person underneath that definitely had a fun-ass time. At least I'll give him credit to that. And in terms of who I thought it was going to be, because he didn't unfortunately last that long, but in terms of who I thought this character could have been, I was thinking along the lines of maybe this was like, say, Joe Pesci, or maybe I was getting vibes of maybe per se Mel Gibson, I was thinking along the lines of. But then one day hit me, and one day this hit me, that I thought of this particular actor, and I thought, Danny Trejo. And the moment this guy got unmasked, I literally jumped out of my seat of joy to find out that the raccoon was actually Danny Trejo. I couldn't believe it. I thought to myself, literally, like, the day before or 2 days before, I'm thinking Danny Trejo. I'm like, I don't know why. Maybe it's the voice, the way he even sang. Like, I've never heard Danny Trejo sing, but, like, I don't know. Something in the voice just made me think Trejo. And then next thing you know, boom! I was like, it was just such an excitement for me. So I got lucky. So that just was really cool, and it was wild, honestly. So awesome for him. At number 9, I know it's gonna be a little like iffy, but number 9 is the Russian dolls. Not only is this costume probably one of the biggest in Masked Singer history, but this broke ground for the Masked Singer, kind of like with Snow Owls in a way, where Snow Owls had 2 people. Now the Russian dolls has multiple people. And how unexpected this could be, because it sounded like there was 2 people, then there was 3 people, then there was 4, there was like several. It looked like they made this look like it was 4 to 5 people in this doll, and it's a massive costume. So you could squeeze in almost an entire band or a cast of people in there, like maybe at least 4, maybe 4 people, latest. So maybe bands were definitely coming to mind in terms of the clues, and definitely like just a lot of band vibes. My particular guess for a while was the Jonas Brothers, because it makes sense. Because I think they did a reunion recently, so I thought, I could see the Jonas Brothers kind of doing this. So then another band came along that was tossed in the air in terms of guesses, was Hanson. Because there's 4 of them, there's 3 to 4 of them. They're a band, of course, so they could fit in there, and the clues do match up a little bit. And eventually, after several people in videos saying, oh, it's Hanson, it's Hanson, it's Hanson, I was kind of like, okay, I guess it could be Hanson. So it actually wound up being Hanson, and they definitely really hit a lot of great songs, from 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars, Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, and I'm Still Standing by Elton John, and plenty other songs. They really did so well too. At number 8 is the Crab. This old-timer really went places, especially with his first performance that he shows up. And the fact that this guy was a wild card and how long he lasted was so amazing for him. Fantastic to him. Especially there's several times this guy just couldn't breathe in the costume and just had so many like issues going on in that suit, and having moments where he had to take off the outfit for a moment to go backstage and then come back and finish up his song and do everything else. Just 1,000% to him, 1,000%, no doubt about it. And you can definitely tell, like I said, he not only in his, I guess, his shape or his height, you can tell he's an older guy. His voice is an older guy, but well, yeah, you can tell in his voice he sounds like an older guy. That soulfulness in his voice, definitely you can tell was an older person. And one big name that kept tossed around, there was other names, but the main name that kept being bounced around was, of course, Bobby Brown. And it is the legendary soulful Bobby Brown. He just really gave a lot and 1,000% and 10 more and plus to this, especially after the loss he's been through and had, and just the struggles he had during this season and during this basically contest. You gotta really, he shined, honestly. He absolutely shined. That it was a damn shame that he got eliminated, but still, he lasted pretty long enough, and it was definitely good enough for him, I guess. At number 7 is Orca. Now, I know Crab definitely lasted a lot longer, but I want to give it to Orca a little bit more because I think he kind of, in a way, in my opinion, probably other people's opinion, he got snubbed a little. I think he was fantastic when he sang "Every Rose Has Its Thorns" by Poison. I think that was fantastic. He really put his heart and soul into it. You can hear from his voice. I can hear from his voice. And I don't know, I liked his sort of, not his story, but I seemed to like gravitate a little bit more of like, I felt bad more for him. Maybe just because he was eliminated within 2 performances he had and that was it for him. Maybe that was it, but all I know is this guy was he was a fun rocker. Like, he had some great rocker vibes, but he had a bit of like a sentimental to him. So like he had a little bit of his heart on his sleeve a little bit with how much he lost his father. And there was several names of people and bands and rockers that might have lost someone. Like, I think it was Dave Grohl and I think maybe Tommy Lee were thrown in there. And one that kind of no one thought of, which was Mark McGrath. And I'm not too familiar with Mark McGrath. I know I've heard of one of his songs before. I can't remember. But yeah, he's a bander. He's a rock star. And like I said, I just feel bad that he kind of was in 2 performances. And that was kind of it, when I feel he really sung his ass off. But hey, it's glad that he just really just gave it his all, even if he lost like this amount of time or this amount of time. Basically the span that this guy was around was great, and him being a wild card was really cool, and I like that costume. At number 6 is the Snail. Unfortunately, this guy didn't last so long, and I really do feel 1,000%, if not 1,000,000% bad, because here I thought, I'm sitting there listening to this guy's voice, and I thought, this does not, like, this guy definitely doesn't sound like a great singer. And I totally feel bad because of who the Snail actually is. But there was old actors like Billy Crystal, maybe Jay Leno, maybe it's Seth MacFarlane, because there was a clue for, there was a teddy bear, so maybe Ted. So there was those 3 that threw around, some talk show hosts, the likes of Jimmy Fallon, Jay Leno, people like that. But this guy, the reason why he's so high up, although he didn't unfortunately have the best singing voice, this guy was probably the most shocking reveal ever. And it was surprisingly Kermit the Frog. I mean, what a legend, what an icon to the world and to cinema and to fiction and just to everything in general and even to Hollywood. And I feel 10 times as bad because I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy, like, he's really, like, I can tell his voice is very older. It's a little grizzlish. Like, he's got that voice in him that sounds like it doesn't really do the best. But unfortunately, he was only given one performance. But when all of a sudden it's Kermit the Frog, I feel 10 times bad because, like, Kermit's a good singer. And even the puppeteer is really good at doing the Kermit voice. So I feel as guilty as everyone else probably thinking, oh, this guy sucks. And all of a sudden, oh shit, I just said Kermit the Frog sucks. You know, it's just one of those moments to me. But I'm like, what a shock. Like, you have no idea, no clue. That broke the internet and how much people flipped on their heads. I lost my mind when that happened. I did not expect that to happen. And I guess it makes sense because of how the Snail is piloted in a way, so who knows? But however it works, I think the puppeteer in an interview explained how he was able to maneuver that thing, but it's very creative to see this, like, whole thing, like, it's not on leg, like, it's not, like, from top to bottom, it's, like, a long, like, cart, like, a parade float almost size sort of costume, so very creative for sure. And as for the clues and with the teddy bear, that was for our good old pal Fozzie, so. Alrighty, we're nearing down my final 5 on my list. And at number 5 on my list is the Yeti. This guy really showed a lot of range in his voice because he had a few rapper clues, but for a rapper, this guy showed a ton of range from doing country to R&B to pop to pretty much almost every genre, really hitting those notes and really doing other creative things like actually roller skating, ice skating on a stage, on a mass singer stage while performing, doing basically 2 in 1 at the same time. Brilliant, honestly brilliant. And with who the guesses were, I can't remember them all, but I remember there was like the likes of Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, Omarion, and it was revealed it was Omarion, and he lasted pretty damn long. It's unfortunate he didn't make it to the final 3, but at least he came to like near the end, almost near the end, so definitely without a shadow, that was awesome for him. It was fantastic, and he got to say, hey, I got to do this because of my buddies like Bow Wow, Lil Wayne, T-Pain, Busta Rhymes, all those other like rappers that I'm close with and I'm tight with. I got to do this because I saw them go, hey, they did that show, let me do that show too. So cool for him. And number 4 on my list is the Chameleon. And speaking of another rapper, this guy just blew the whole stage away. He was such a party man. He just, the way the costume looks, the whole like disco, all sorts of colors going on, which is so dope. And honestly, I don't say this a lot, but he was fire when it came to his bars, when it came to him singing and hitting those raps. Like when you hit classic rapper songs like Snoop Dogg and Busta Rhymes and Gangsta's Paradise, is so awesome. And I want to see this guy do covers of those songs one day. And there was several rappers that were thought of. Like, I think there was Machine Gun Kelly, there was actor clues in there as well. There was, I want to say, I don't remember everyone else that they said. I know Machine Gun Kelly is the only name that comes to my mind right now. But the one I always stuck with throughout this whole journey was Chance the Rapper. Like, Chance fits that height perfect for the Chameleon's height, but with everything else that was thrown in there, it was not Chance the Rapper, but a different rapper that was on Wild and Out was Wiz Khalifa. And it makes sense. Wiz Khalifa was an actor. He has featured in the soundtrack for Fast and Furious, so that makes his tie-ins to acting and sort of that Hollywood fame a little bit, and not just for the music industry, but the film industry. So he really went out in a blaze of glory, and like I said, I want to see him do a cover of these songs, especially that Busta Rhymes one. That was probably my favorite, especially the neon lights and everything that was just, literally, he like made a big blast and explosion in that performance. So that was really awesome, and he made it to a final 3, so good job on him, on his part. And just another rapper that kind of was like, hey, I did this because I know some buddies in the industry that did this, so I'm gonna basically do this because they made it look cool. At number 3 is the Black Swan. And I know we've had some really great singers and female singers throughout the seasons and series of The Masked Singers, with people like the likes of Jackie Evancho, we've had Candy Burris, we've had Leanne Rimes, we've had Adrienne Bailot, we've had Gladys Knight, we've had several other people like Bella Thorne, we have Margaret Cho, Rumor Willis, all sorts of people out the wazoo, Tori Spelling. I can go on and on of each female like singer that really did phenomenally for each season. Tori Kelly, I could keep going, you know? But anyways, the point I'm making is we've had some great singers throughout the seasons, but some reason, there was something different about Black Swan. She just had like this badass sort of feel to her. Maybe just the fact that she was decked in black and decked in red, just that made it seem so cool. But the way she just hit that Barracuda song, I think made her a name and staple of that. This singer is not only a phenomenal singer with great vocals, but she knew how to really do some badass songs. And hitting some classics like Stevie Wonder, Whitney Houston, all other ones from the 80s and 70s, and maybe even some from the 90s. And I know everyone else was more on the other side of the spectrum, but I wanted, like, from the beginning to end, I was really thinking this was Camila Cabello, especially with that X Factor clue we saw and everything. I was just instantly, I was like, Camila. I was like, this feels like Camila Cabello. And everyone else was on the other side of the spectrum, which the other side of the spectrum was, I want to say, I don't know if she's an icon, but she's definitely done this for quite a long time. And for her to basically recover and say, hey, I haven't done this in years and I get to do this again. And this is basically me doing my career again and touring and everything else. And having stage fright, but having to come back into singing again was JoJo. Not JoJo Siwa, because I don't like her, but JoJo, just JoJo. So it was great that JoJo got to do this. I'm surprised she looks good for her age, especially her being in her 30s or in her late 20s, maybe early 30s. Still, the fact that she was phenomenal and almost, I don't want to say groundbreaking, but she really did accomplish quite a bit throughout this series, or at least this season, I should say. At number 2 is the Piglet. I never would have thought this guy would make it this long. Like, I don't know why. At first glance at this costume, I thought, okay, he's not gonna seem like he's gonna last that long. And then as all of a sudden you hear that voice of his, and his voice is just fantastic. No wonder he made up to the final 3 with singing such great songs. He sang a Stevie Wonder song, Superstitious. He sang 7 Years Old. He sang Speechless. He sang Against All Odds by Phil Collins. So many really good hits that he just hit that gravitas in his voice. And there was people out the wazoo of who this could be. There was Nick Lachey that was tossed around. There was his brother Drew Lachey, because there was a llama, Drew Carey, Drew Lachey. Some people were thinking of Jeremy Renner, since there was a clue to maybe archery and to a farm and maybe a sci-fi thing, because Jeremy Renner was known for the Avengers and he did a sci-fi movie called Arrival. I want to say there was bander clues like maybe Adam Lambert and maybe I want to say Jordan Knight perhaps, but it wound up being Nick Lachey, and he definitely was fantastic. And you kind of could guess it was Nick Lachey. Maybe it was just me. Like, after a few guesses, I was thinking to myself, maybe it is Nick Lachey, because he did say something tragic happened to him in his life, and that made me think of when him and Jessica Simpson had that whole issue and that whole whatever thing that happened between the two of them. So I was like, it could be Nick Lachey. And his kids too as well. He has, I think, 2-3 kids, so it does fit. And he got to be the champion too, which was a surprise, because here I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna be JoJo, it's gonna be the Black Swan that's gonna win this one. And it's gonna be that female sort of voice, because we've had that with Night Angel, we've had that with the Sun. And no, surprisingly enough, it wound up being Nick Lachey. He got to be the champion of this season, so that probably is a huge accomplishment to him. It definitely blew me away, and a lot of people were blown away by his performance. And you're probably surprised, and you guys are probably blown away by the fact that he's not number 1, but wait until you see who my number 1 is. But before we do that, here are a few honorable mentions. Let's take a look.
I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tamara Mowry Hollywood.
All I know is when I'm with you, you make me feel so good, through and through. The way you walk and the way you talk, you always look so good, make me forget my thoughts.
And now, my number 1 pick of my top 10 Masked Singers of Season 5 is, drumroll please, RoboPine. I know this guy probably, I know this is gonna get me a little bit of like diverse of opinions, which is fine. I don't mind that, but I don't know. I feel RoboPine either could have been in several categories. He either could have been the number one person to win and been the champion of this season. He could have been in the final 3. He could have been maybe one of the final 5 or maybe one of the super 6. But I feel it feels unfortunate that he kind of didn't last. Like, he lasted like a half of the season, but I feel like he deserved a little bit more, especially with how great of that voice is. How, like, just not only that deep voice, but how powerful that voice was a little bit. And kind of another soulful voice. And the costume is probably one of my favorites of the season. Like, I liked all the costumes of the season, but this one has to be my favorite. I think it's very creative. I think it's a little bit of a game changer, as this season was trying to be a big game changer for several reasons, especially introducing the wild cards. And I think when he came out, it was so surprising because he went from being, okay, I'm Porcupine, no, I'm RoboPine. And it just looks so cool how all the spikes and the prickles on his back to the robotic eye, and like how half of him is prosthetic, half of him is like fur. It's like meshed well so together. It was so cool to see this, honestly. It like seemed like something out of like a science fiction film or something. And I want to give that props to the costume. But enough on the costume. That voice was just so awesome. It was so awesome. It was just so many people that came to my mind on who this could be from Lionel Richie, because he said he was an older guy. He said he's been doing this for like 60 or 70 years. And I was like, Lionel Richie, I think he's like in his 50s or 60s, so he's reaching that mark of that. He's been doing this for quite a long time. So I was like, Lionel Richie, right out the gate. The judges, along with myself, partially was wanting to see that this was Jamie Foxx, because I mean, Jamie could have pulled this off, and I know he's not 50 yet, or he's not 60, or he's not 70, but I mean, Jamie could act. He's an actor. This could have been just a character to put on. And it kind of was a character that was just put on, because he acted like he was an older guy from like so many years of singing and being the music industry, but he's a little bit younger than you think, a little bit. There were so many other names that were thrown out there. I want to say those Wesley Snipes, I think, was mentioned. I think Eddie Murphy was maybe mentioned. There was one guest in particular I had. I can't remember who it was, but there was one in particular I had. I thought, oh, he'd be perfect because he's reaching 60 or he's reaching 70. I think maybe it was Wesley Snipes, or it was like another actor. I just can't think of off the top of my head that was reaching 60 or reaching 70. And I was like, it makes sense. He's almost at 70 years old, or he's almost at 60 years old. He's like right there, like 58 or 59 or something like that. Maybe it was Jamie Foxx. Maybe it was someone else. I don't remember. All I know is there was one particular actor that I said that I was like, oh, he'd be perfect. This is him right here. But then people started picking up that, hey, this could possibly be Tyrese Gibson. And then I thought to myself, okay, I was thinking, okay, I feel like this is kind of getting a little out there, with him leaking the pictures of himself wearing the "Don't Talk to Me" hoodie, and the fact that I think even in one of his clues, he mentioned a close friend he most recently lost, a la Paul Walker. It wound up being Tyrese Gibson. And honestly, the fact that Tyrese pulled this off and was able to basically flip everyone's heads into thinking this was an old man, just really soulful, really just that deep voice, and just that first performance is my favorite performance out of him. And I think he gave the best performances. Like, every performance of him just kept getting better and better and better with age. I wanted to see more, and it kind of sucked when he all of a sudden was eliminated, but I'm glad that these guys got to be revealed. And I'm not saying any discrimination that when these people get revealed. It's unfortunate when you see a character or an actor do so well, and all of a sudden they have to basically be swept off their feet saying, okay, we gotta reveal you now, sort of thing. But at least Tyrese got to make it throughout half of the season, and he just, I think he's underrated in my opinion. I know some people might say otherwise, but I think he's underrated. So I think that's where I land, and this is where I stand. I have nothing else against all the other ones of this season, but I think he just, for some reason, just takes the cake for me. But who are your favorites of this season? Let me know in the comment section. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please smash that button. If you're new on the channel, please subscribe. I do awesome videos every day, if not every week. Make sure you ring that bell. I do new videos every day, if not every week. Share the video with your family and friends, all the good stuff and more. Leave some suggestions in the comment section. Questions, comments, concerns, you name it. I'll look into it. And make sure to maybe leave some questions if you have any, so that way I'm going to build up some questions, and maybe somewhere down the line we'll do a Q&A. I'd like to do that sometime, hopefully. Look out for other videos associated with in honor of Season 6 and the road to Season 6, especially one in particular that's coming out, like maybe in a few days or so. So look out for that. But look out for that. Look out for more reviews. Look out for maybe some vlogs, maybe some TV show reviews, other things I'm going to try and cover as best as I can, and anything you guys request, I'll look to as well. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.